Hello, this is Dr. Malescu. I'm just going to give you a quick tutorial, kind of helping you navigate through Falcon Online and also helping you navigate the course structure so that you are successful in completing both the lecture and the lab. So we'll start with the lecture section of AMP1. Whenever you log in, the first thing you will see is the announcements. So today's announcement was frequently asked questions from recent emails that I have received from students. So hopefully this helped you a little bit, but I think this video will help you even more in navigating Falcon Online, being able to get the code from the online bookstore with Daytona State College. Once you get the correct code that's been updated, you will be able to go in and take those bonus virtual lab exercises and get those extra 10 points. They will be deployed for each weekly content that we have, okay? So I'll get to that section in a minute, but first I just wanted to show you that you need to check your announcements. Sometimes I have once a day announcements. Sometimes when there's a lot of things coming up with a lot of students emailing me about a particular thing, I may make more than one announcement per day. But usually I try to keep it to one per day or 3 days a week, but no more than that. Okay. So the latest was frequently asked questions on the same day today. Yesterday, I discovered that some of you were having difficulties, let me show you, going to the tools section and downloading the actual video to keep on desktop, or at least viewing it. So let me show you how to do that first. And in case that I cannot each single week, because remember, with 7 courses, I have to send the links each time. So I will do that, but as a secondary backup, just so you know how to get here, you go to the tools section, and whether you're going in live or you're watching the video that was recorded, this is where you go to Virtual Classroom. Click on Virtual Classroom, and here we go. Let me show you what you'll see. You will see here session 1 that we just had. We just finished our first week. So in this first week, I went over relevant material for the lecture, which was one of the PowerPoints. Also note that the same PowerPoint was also narrated. So you have 2 options to view it. Okay, now let me move this over just a smidgen so you can see within the viewing area. Right here are 3 vertical dots. Click on that, and you can preview or download, one or the other, okay? So you have that option. Here we go. I'm going to preview it. And here you could just press play. This is my narrated PowerPoint, and this is me talking, and this was our live session, and you'll see our chat box and see exactly what went on during the live session to learn the first chapter, okay? So that's that. I'm going to close that up. I'm going to go now to let me go to assignments first, and then I'll go to contents because that takes a lot longer. Assignments is where you get other bonus points, and then the quizzes is where you go to take the quizzes. Now, mind you, you will notice you have got to stick to one quiz that is due each week. We're going to have weekly quizzes, okay? I gave you an extension this first week just to get your feet wet and get started in the course, because not all of you will have the book and not all of you will be logging on right away. So that's the reason. But typically expect weekly quizzes so you have a week to complete them. All right, so you click on quizzes. Right now, we just completed week 1, so you could take quiz 1, and it'll have the appropriate start and when the deadline is, okay? In the lecture session, please, this is why I did this. Remember that in the lecture session, there are no quizzes. In the lecture course shell, we just have the exams, okay? So we have 4 unit exams and an optional cumulative exam. That's it, all right? So you won't see these yet. That's why you've got the I with the cross. That's on my end. You will not see these courses. You may see some crazy dates, but that's because I'm still updating them, and they will show up when I've updated. It's a reminder of myself what I need to update. When the test is ready to be deployed, the deadline will be there and the start time, and it'll all be dependent on how we progress in the lecture series each week. Okie dokie? All right, so that was quiz section. Quiz section is where you get all your tests. In the lecture portion, all you have is 4 modular exams, each worth 100 points, and an optional voluntary final exam. That's it. No quizzes. All right? So I showed you the toolbox. I showed you the quizzes. You can look up your grades. Assignment section. Let's look over here in the assignments. For the lecture, there's only 2 bonus assignments. This is not part of, on the syllabus, it'll give you exactly what is going to be mandatory and graded. And that is simply 4 modular exams and a final in the lecture course series. Okay? Everything that you do that's separate is going to be bonus and not mandatory. So, for example, the virtual labs that you'll go, and I'll show you when we get to the lab course, that's not mandatory, it is voluntary. Extra bonus points. Okay, so in the lecture, there's not much bonus. Really, there's not much. Okay, there's only the student bio that you need to upload so I can get to know you. And then, of course, the student PowerPoint assignment, which you can open up the Word document and it'll give you precise instructions on how to do the PowerPoint. That's about it. Okay, so I showed you assignments, I showed you the toolbox, and I showed you the quiz section, which in the lecture will be exams. Okie dokie. What else? Discussions is there. It's old. I mean, you can do discussions, but I'm not going to focus on that because I'm going to focus on grading you and making sure that I'm creating narrated PowerPoints. That's what I'm doing this semester. So right now you'll see plain old PowerPoints, but I narrated week 1 for you in case you're unable to, for example, get into virtual classroom for whatever reason. If the internet is bad, you still have narrated PowerPoints. Okie dokie. So here's week 1. I did get some requests from students, so I honored the request that you wanted the Smart Book. So I deployed the Smart Book. What does that mean? It is active learning, so it is in McGraw-Hill right here. So if you got the code and you've got the correct code, if you had any issues with that, just update and get the correct code with the online bookstore. Okay, and that problem will be solved. Once you get your code for the ebook that you paid for, you go to McGraw-Hill, okay, and that's where you can find everything. But what I did was, and I'm going to do it for each and every single week, so over the weekend, I'm going to deploy chapter 2 for week 2, and so on and so forth, okay? So you have the book to read. I'm warning you, it's way more detailed. It's really optional. Again, 0 points, just read. And it's a direct connect to active reading with the McGraw-Hill textbook for the lecture. Okay, because remember, the lab manual is for the lab course shell. Okay, so we just finished week 1, so you should have your PowerPoint on your desktop to review. Here's my narrated PowerPoint of that same PowerPoint, and I worked on that and uploaded it on YouTube, so you can look at that. Now, these are the most important videos for you because we are not on ground and working with the lab models. Instead, you are seeing the lab models. You can screenshot and take pictures of these lab models because the midterm and lab practical will have lots of images of these lab models. What are these lab models? They are not people. They are plastic torso models so that you can learn the language of anatomy and the body cavities. So there are 3 YouTube videos for this week that you should really, really study. alongside the virtual classroom that you can watch as a recording. And if you've been live, even better. Okay, I encourage you to come in live because you can ask me questions. Okie dokie. So that's that. Look on the side here and you will see, let's go to the top. Welcome to Anatomy. I don't even know if all of you have seen it, but there it is. You've got the site where you can upload your student bio here or go to the assignment section. But I plopped it right there because figuring that you would be looking at the lab schedule and the syllabus. So you've got both here in the lecture course, okay, of 301F. Note that also in the lab, whether you're 301L, 302L, or 303L that I teach, you will also have a section on the side here, Welcome to Anatomy, but it'll say Welcome to Anatomy Lab. And again, you'll have the lab schedule and the lecture lab syllabus together. Okay, so moving down, I also put just separately the lab syllabus here. And if some of you want just a quick peek instead of going to the lab shell, you can look in here for some of the handouts. But I recommend that you go for full information, go to the full lab content in the lab course, whether you are 301, 302, or 303. Okay, so as we scroll down, here's week 1 that I'm in right here. Okay, so just make sure that you go through what you need to do here, which is basically read the book, look at the PowerPoint, look at the narrated PowerPoint, study it, and study the YouTube videos. Now next week, just giving you a heads up, next week is chemistry in lecture, but you'll notice in the lab it'll be cell biology. That's the only week in the entire 14 weeks, because it is about 14 weeks, okay, that we will have a departure. After that, please note that when we get to week 3 in lecture, you will already have done the cell information in week 2. So don't let that bug you, okay? It'll all be put together because by the time you get to the midterm, it'll be week 8 for the lab midterm. So it'll be around right here where we do joints, okay? Okay, so we did that. I just want to make sure I went over everything here. What else was there questions about? So there were questions about what do I do each week. That's what you do each week. You go to each week module. It is dated for you. In the lab section, I dated it for you. Okay? That's pretty much it. Assignments, contents, you're going to go there all the time. Quizzes, you're going to go there for tests, whether it's a midterm practical, final practical, or the 10 quizzes, all of that's in the lab. Or like in this module where you have exam 1, 2, 3, 4, and the final, which is voluntary. Okay, you could check your grades up here. Now another thing I wanted to show you is if you go to home, go to the home page, at the top, you see here the top banner. Let me move my thumbnail here. If you need technical help, although I'm pretty good at technology now, I had to catch up because of COVID-19, and I'm there. I'm doing a lot. I cannot help with certain things. Like I've gotten emails about, well, how do I download the virtual classroom session? Well, perhaps there's no room on your computer, perhaps it's poor internet, or maybe it's a technical issue. If that's the case, or you're not able to access certain things, Tech Help is here to help you. So you have Falcon Online Help. You have the Falcon Online Info Guide Self-Help. Here's where you really want to get you can get instant help. Chat now with Falcon Online Help Desk. They will instantly help you, okay? I had a particular student who needed to access the recorded session. It was not able to download it. So what I did is I went into the virtual classroom You know those three little dots, I opened it instead of downloading it. I copied the URL link and I put it in the announcements. So you're going to see that as well. That is a benefit to you, so if I can do that, I will do that. So, but if you need any help for any other tech issue, go here. You can go to DSC Tech Help. The other thing is Academic Support Center. I was able to get to onboard the tutors. The two tutors, Deborah Leonard and Isaac, will help you at any time. They are in my course shell. They actually launched and deployed the mock practical, and you're going to see, oh, well, the date is crazy. Well, that's because it's not available yet. When it's available, it'll be available. You'll know. It'll be right before the midterm practical, and I will remind you that you could take a mock practical as a dry run, okay? All right, you got the DSC library here. You need to make an appointment right now to go online to make an appointment. You can do that through this site here. They are not on ground. They actually showed me a screenshot. It's amazing how innovative they are. They are always logged in through their screen, and this way they can answer any questions that you may have. So they're not on ground due to COVID-19. Okay? All else you can see, everything that you need to see. You could do your own system check to make sure everything's working properly for you. All right, let me bring this thumbnail down and scroll down. Now, see this Microsoft team. You need to be able to sign in with your Daytona username and password. You should be able to use Microsoft Stream. Microsoft Stream is an app that is connected to the email. So if you don't have email, please sign up for your email. Where do you have it? Help over here. There it is. Falcon. Hold on. Let me find it. Where did I see it? There it is. Falcon Mail Setup. I'm going to put my thumbnail right next to it. Okay. Falcon Mail Setup. You need that. This is our only mode of communication. Okay, you also will need Microsoft Teams because I can meet you virtually in Microsoft Teams for a one-on-one session if you need help with understanding something. Okay, information is everything, right? Everything that you need can be found in that Foley Discover. Now, let's move to the lab section. Here we go. So, for those of you who are in 301L or 302L or 303L, this is where you want to click. All right, so if you're in 301L, click in your lab course. It is completely separate from your lecture course. Okay, but I take the grades from both, and you will finally get a full grade. And you know how to get that. I'm not going to go over that here. This video is more about navigating Falcon Online. You know what the point system is. You just have to open up the syllabus, okay? All you have to do is open up the syllabus, look it up, and see exactly how the point system breakdown is. 300 points in the lab. So let's do the navigation now in the lab course. The first thing that you'll see as soon as you come in, my announcements go directly to your email, your Falcon email, which is a Outlook account, okay? Make sure you sign up for Office 365 and you'll have lots more apps there that you can use. On a side note, that was just a side note. So here are my announcements. We had an announcement today that if someone has a problem downloading or viewing the virtual classroom, I took the URL link, and here it is. You can open it up directly from here and watch our virtual classroom session. Then you guys had a lab manual issue, couldn't get the right code. Here's the information. We have updated to a new edition, and that was the issue. So now all you need to do is obviously call the online bookstore or email them, and they'll give you the correct code. And like I said, I also have Jeanette, my point of contact, Jeanette Thomas right there. She represents McGraw-Hill, and she can also help you make sure that you get the right code. Also remember that you'll get a temporary password and urged to buy it on sale, the permanent one, for a lower price. Okay? Knowing that all this was happening, I had a welcome video and I gave you the note here that you do not have to attend live. It is not mandatory attendance. I do not take it there. I actually look at the amount of times you log in and if you're doing your work. That's what we are doing as we are teaching online. So if you cannot attend the virtual classroom live, again, don't forget, go up, you know where to go. Go to Tools and then find the Dropbox and go to Virtual Classroom. View it, okay, or download it, or wait for my link. My link is usually later because the recorded session doesn't show up right away. It just doesn't. It takes a while, and it'll have an hourglass to tell me that it's not ready. Okay, so future meeting, we meet the 31st again. Click on those three little dots to get in, launch, okay? All right, so here, this was our session. Preview it, okay? Preview it, and you can see it. What I did is I copied the URL because it's public, and I sent it to you guys. Okie dokie? All right. Now, let's go back to contents in this lab section, which is a bit different, right? It's a bit different because there's a lot more work in here that this is the meat of the work where I assess you a lot more. So let's see. We go to course schedule. I put the welcome here and you have your lab schedule and lab syllabus just like in the lecture shell. Here you have the McGraw-Hill ebook. Again, you can look and view at all the assignments through there once you get your code, okay, for the lab portion. And here's what we did for week 1. So I told you exactly here what to do, right? Complete the McGraw-Hill lab assignment once you get your code. Take quiz 1. Where? Quiz section right up here. Okay, what's quiz 1? Language of anatomy. Don't look at the other quizzes. You can't see them anyway. You can't take the test. It's got old dates because it reminds me that I'm going to deploy it and modify it as needed. Okay, so that is why you will see that. Now, the handouts are just your notes. They have nothing to do with assignments. You're not to upload it. I don't grade it. None of that. Okay, so do not send them to me. And also, please ignore the exercises at the bottom because now we are doing online. Before COVID, we had exercises, okay, that we had from another book. So now we are virtual, so you could do those exercises virtually through McGraw-Hill ebook, which is that laboratory manual. Or, as you can see, I deployed it straight into this week 1 right here. So week 1, all you have is a virtual labs tutorial and microscopy. So what did you have to do this week? Download Language of Anatomy, download Organ Systems, download Microscope handout. These you should print and keep them as notes. And when you are watching the virtual classroom video, you're going to take notes with it, okay? And you're going to keep these, staple them together, and week 8 for your midterm, you will be ready because this is your Cliff Note version, all right? Because otherwise, it gets out of hand, the amount of content. So everything that's on these handouts will 100% show up on the practical. And 100% everything that I talk about, okay, in the YouTube videos are relevant for the practical. And each week, this is new. This is the only new thing that I'm doing. I don't have this in each week. So each week as I move along, I will narrate a PowerPoint. Okay, so this weekend I'll be narrating the second PowerPoint for the second week. Note, Note that the second week in lecture was chemistry. The second week next week is going to be, there it is, cell. So you're going to download cell membrane transport. These are your notes. I'm going to be talking about the lecture on the cell. Okie dokie. So watch these videos. These are my YouTubes for week 3, cell. Okay? Now, you're going to say, well, it looks like week 2 is cell here, but week 3 on YouTube. Yep. Because when I did this, we had a holiday, and so we didn't have lab that week when we were on ground. Okay? So don't even consider worrying about that. Just know that this is the week in week 2 where we are doing the cell. So watch those videos. Okay, so that's that. I showed you the weeks are dated here for you in lab. So really focus on that. I stick to the schedule. I never depart from it. So by the time you get to week 7, you'll have a whole section with all the YouTubes that I did. And week 8, you take your practical. Week 7, we're doing joint, and we'll be reviewing for the practical. That is the week that I will deploy the mock practical. All right, so that's that with the contents. Notice that we are 14 weeks. On week 14, it's the week of Thanksgiving. That is when you watch all the end of the videos from the midterm to the end, and you'll be prepping and studying for the final. When you come back, you take the final online. All right. Can't think of anything else. I showed you contents. So let me show you the contents in the assignment section. So like I said, 10 quizzes, 1 midterm, 1 practical. Where do you get it? Well, when the time comes to take each quiz, you go to the quizzes section for all of it, for all 10 quizzes, for the midterm, and for the final. Everything else you saw, the deployed virtual labs are going to be in each week, or alternatively, you can go to the McGraw-Hill Direct Connect book, lab manual, for this lab section. All right, so the only bonus that you can get possibly in this lab course is the voluntary pre-midterm assignment. Just open it up, okay, and you'll see directions on what to do. They are basically questions to prep you for the midterm. And this one is new. I just added it, cell structure and function. Again, this is also bonus. All right. So discussions is old. You can do discussions, but we are so online now, virtually, with virtual classroom, that I really don't think discussions is really a tool that we need anymore. Since you're getting narrated PowerPoints, YouTube videos, and our virtual classroom, I don't want to create information overload, which you already have. Okay, so again, quiz section is where you want to go, and assignments is where you want to go for bonus points. Tools section is where you want to go to open up virtual classroom. Content is where you want to go to look at each week and what you need to do for both, for the lab and the lecture. But now we are in this lab shell. All right, so here's your lab shell. And again, please don't forget, if you want to do extra credit, the bonus point lab, virtual labs, you got to go to McGraw-Hill, or go alternatively into the week that you're in, and hopefully you will see them there. Here they are. When it says external learning tool, the only external learning tool that we are using is McGraw-Hill. That is the publishing company for our lab manual. Now, I'd like to end with going back to home to show you some. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go back to home. I'm going to show you that when you log into the lab and the lecture, I did send you the PDF files for both lecture and lab, and I did mention that it is optional. You do not actually need the lecture book. All right, you don't need the code or the book because we're only going to read from it. If you want to read from it as extra, that's great, but I'm not requiring you. It's not a requirement. It's not mandatory. Okay, the lab manual is kind of a requirement only because you probably want to do those bonus virtual labs. And so once you get your code, you'll be all good to go and do those 10 points. That's all they're worth. 1 point each lab, each virtual lab. Now, this is what I wanted to show you. When you go into, let's go into the lecture and the lab. Let's start the lecture again and show you that in the announcements, I put attachments. Okay, so the attachment of the day today was the FAQs, frequently asked questions by students, which I think this tool right here, me doing an informational video on navigating Falcon Online, is probably better than this form that I just kind of figured out. Let me just list it all for you, like all the questions that I've received from the students. I listed it. Scroll all the way back to here's the books that you needed, and I told you, like I said, Martin Lab is the one that you really want to keep. Okay, the Saladin lecture book, okay, is optional if you really want to read. Okay, so it's all the information is here for you. Just go to the assignments. The contact point, if you are not having an easy issue with the bookstore, perhaps the phone is just busy because everybody's doing the same thing, right? You can also email the rep for McGraw-Hill to get the code. Okay, all right, then if you scroll down, we look down here, and I did the point breakdown because a lot of students were asking me. But again, it's all in the syllabus, okay? So 10 quizzes, 1 practical midterm, 1 practical final, total 300 points. Add the 300 plus the 400 in the lecture. What was the 400 in the lecture? 4 exams, okay? And an optional bonus, whatever you want to call it, lab final. So there it is, 300, okay, plus the 400, and if you get a perfect score, that's an A, that's 700 points. That's the system. Of course, find it in the syllabus. All right, here's the information on temporary access for, the code to get into your lab manual, as well as Saladin, your lecture book if you want to read. Okay, now here's what I wanted to show you. You've got the ISBN codes, everything here. I sent you this so you can go to Foley. Foley is now updated. And again, this is the key element right here. This is the last element that I wanted to show you in this video, navigating Falcon Online. What I did for you is a PDF file of the laboratory manual that you could keep on your desktop. Okay, not associated with your virtual lab or anything, just so you have it, so you can scroll through it. Honestly, if I was the student, I'd probably, especially when it comes to reviewing quickly all the topics that we cover in the course, lab manual's the way to go. The textbook, I also have the PDF file for you that you can download. It is way more detailed. If you have the time and you want to do it, go for it. But again, it's optional. Here is the lab schedule and, of course, the lab and the lecture syllabus put together. Okay? So with that said, be ready for a quiz. All right? I'm going to quiz you in the virtual classroom to make sure that you have read the lab syllabus, that you know the lab schedule, that you have the lab manual downloaded, the textbook downloaded, and then if you want to go extra, you can get the code and do that smart reading which is dynamic, and as you read, it asks you questions and things like that. And then all the information, watch this video again if you're confused as to where to go. This information is here to help you navigate the whole entire course structure. All right, I think I'm done. I hope this helped you, and I hope this will help your success, I can't talk anymore, and get that A. All right? Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.